I feel like we need to do a little bit more talking about inZOI. I am not done. Not just positive things, but also some, not negative, but I guess back to reality kind of things. But first, I just want to say, all these videos coming out, I am genuinely so impressed, and it's just not stopping. Everything I thought about like what a life simulation game can be is just turned on its head. I guess that's the issue when you've only just had The Sims 4 for literally 10 years. You've got nothing else to compare to, so you don't really know what the possibilities are in terms of another game until you actually see it. Apart from build mode, which I personally don't think I will enjoy about inZOI, the CreatorZOI mode and the live mode both look really, really good. I was trying to think to myself before recording this video about talking about how they've taken positive elements from The Sims 2 and 3, but then I think actually it's just completely different. It seems like they've just taken the whole life sim thing and they've taken maybe some things they like from The Sims, but mostly just kind of created the dream life sim where all of the features that you would want in there are in there. And it does make me feel a little bit worried about The Sims 5, even though I bitch about The Sims 4. I love The Sims. I love The Sims 1. Okay, I don't really love The Sims 1, but I love The Sims 2 and 3. So I definitely know that EA are capable of making a good Sims game. And a part of me thought that they would be capable of making a good Sims 5. But now we're looking at inZOI. Maybe The Sims 5 will be good, or Project Renee, but it won't be as great as inZOI potentially, and that has me feeling a little bit worried. It's like when they showed off a preview of Project Renee last year and they were talking about how you can potentially add an ombre effect to your hair, and they showed off this hair model. Obviously it's just in development, but then you see inZOI in development and there's so much, even just like hair customization, like how realistic the hairs look, how you can apply like any kind of color to it, how you can just like change the length so easily. It's just a very small thing looking at the hairs, but I think it's a really good example in terms of how advanced inZOI definitely is. I am definitely excited to play with the character creator. I believe it comes out on August the 21st, which is, oh my god, tomorrow and Wednesday. How exciting. So that's going to be interesting to see. Also, I'm interested to know if your character will look different in CreatorZOI mode versus gameplay mode. I have noticed from other people's gameplay videos that when you create a Zoe in their cast mode versus in live mode, they do look a bit different, which I feel like it does make some sense. Like you see this in every single video game pretty much. In the created character mode they look amazing, and then when you go into gameplay they look completely different. In inZOI it seems like they don't look massively different, but they do look a lot more blurred. That realism isn't as strong in live mode, I have noticed, but they still do look impeccable. Now I do have some criticisms about inZOI in its current state. Obviously it's still in development and this is like pre-early access, so I have noticed that in some gameplay videos there is a lot of like clipping issues and maybe some other minor issues that need to be fixed. A lot of you guys have also asked me about the use of AI. Like I'm surprised at how many questions you guys ask, because in inZOI it looks like you can create patterns like the Sims 3 create a style tool where you can apply a pattern, for example, to any kind of Zoi's clothing. You can import them, use the default presets, or it seems like you can generate a pattern using AI. When it comes to AI, my personal opinion is AI is great when it's used to empower people but not replace people, and I also think it's tremendously important that AI is ethically sourced. Unfortunately, it seems like pretty much all major AI models are based on stolen data, which is very disappointing. A lot of AI artwork, for example, is based on artwork made by real people without actually obtaining their permission. This is obviously a bad use of AI. Right now, I have no idea where inZOI is getting their AI models from in order to generate patterns, for example. If it was unethically sourced, if it was based on data that they did not obtain with express permission, then unfortunately, no, I would say that's not ethically sourced and I probably wouldn't want to be using that. If it was ethically sourced, I wouldn't have a problem with it, because if you just want to have like a certain, you know, pattern for clothing, like a checkerboard pattern or a stripy pattern for your clothes, then automatically generating this is going to make it so like anybody can create any kind of outfit they want, which is good. But if it is unethically source, and no, I don't think it's acceptable and I wouldn't be using it. I am very skeptical about AI. As I said, I think it can be used to empower people, but when it replaces people or steals from other people, then no, I disagree with it. So I'm hoping that they give some more transparency on their use of AI in the game, because that's important to me and a lot of other people I know. I don't really want to go into a whole like AI debate because that's not what this video is about, but what I'm saying is people do have some concerns about inZOI. Another one is performance issues, because a lot of people who play The Sims are casual gamers who don't really own gaming PCs, and obviously this game isn't coming out on consoles, so maybe there is a barrier there for a lot of players, although that's a you problem, not an inZOI problem. So I don't know if it's going to fully replace The Sims. In fact, if we just look at The Sims 4, this is the first Sims game to actually exist on console as a main title. In the past, Sims games on console were more just spin-offs. This is the first time we've actually had a main title Sims game on console, and I definitely think it's helped with sales and accessibility. Now, we always complain about how The Sims 4 is crap. The worlds are absolutely tiny, the lots are tiny, and a major reason behind this is so the game does work on console because it's a huge market for them. I definitely don't think inZOI will replace potentially Project Renee, coming from the perspective of accessibility for sure, especially considering that Project Renee is due to be free to download. What does free to download? I don't know, because, you know, they didn't say free to play, they said free to download, which could mean anything. I definitely think it will be interesting in terms of, will this drive down the price of packs? Something that I do think will be interesting is quality, because taking a look at The Sims 4, for example, right now, it is so broken. In fact, yesterday I tried really hard to record a let's play for an upcoming video that I'm making. I'll put sneak peek b-roll on the screen now, and oh my gosh, it was so buggy. And we've had like 5 or 6 like hotfix updates since Love Shock was released, and the game is still so unplayable. The fact that EA just feels so comfortable releasing broken packs and leaving The Sims 4 in a broken state is absolutely horrendous. It's so exploitive, it's so unethical, and if inZOI actually managed to make their game good and not be as buggy and glitchy, I definitely think it can have negative repercussions for EA if they don't bother to improve the quality of The Sims. If we have another game that's significantly higher quality, then I do think people will jump ship, and I think The Sims will be in a lot of trouble. Right now, the problem is EA don't really have a reason to care about your feelings, because The Sims 4 is the only live sim game out right now. They have absolutely no competition, so they can basically do whatever they want and get away with it. But with inZOI coming out looking so good, they can't do what they want and necessarily get away with it anymore, which puts them in a position where they either have to step it up or they completely fail. And given EA's track record, not just with The Sims, but with pretty much like every single game they have, they do end up running it into the ground and ruining it. There are so many examples of EA games in general which have just gone to crap because they've treated them badly and competitors have taken over. So considering that, it suggests that EA may not really care about improving the quality of their games, at least to keep up with competition, which is scary for Project Renee. I genuinely don't want it to crash and burn. Like, I've been seeing all these titles of inZOI videos like The Sims 4 is over, The Sims 4 is dead, which is kind of funny. I know, like, it's, you know, it's a funny title, it's a clickable title, but I genuinely like don't want The Sims to suffer and die. I do want The Sims 4 to suffer and die. I think The Sims 4, like, it's had its time. It came out the womb a little bit deformed, and it's always going to be that way. So I'm happy for that to die, but I don't want The Sims to die, and I am a little bit worried. I mean, even though we've had like some very, very, very minor previews of Project Renee in very early development, so it'll look nothing like the real thing, at the very least, I do definitely think EA seems to be a lot keener on the more cartoony look, whereas inZOI's a lot more realistic. I definitely think art style can be really important to a lot of gamers, and I think the more realistic look generally kind of typically appeals to a more mainstream audience, whereas I think the more quirky, unique look, the cartoony look, it kind of serves the cozy gamer market a little bit better. Maybe that's a bit of an overgeneralization, but more mainstream games do tend to be a lot more realistic realistic looking. So maybe there is potentially a different kind of audience base they're going for with the games. But either way, I think if EA do want to compete with inZOI, based on what we've seen, it looks like it's going to be very tough. I mean, let's put this into perspective. I remember when Paralives was first announced and they were showing off curved walls for your builds, for example, and then a couple months later EA announced curved walls for The Sims 4 and they were implemented in an absolutely terrible way. In fact, curved walls are incredibly buggy and glitchy to this day. To me, that suggests that, like, I'm so sure that they saw Paralives and were like, we've got to compete with this in some way. It's speculation, but I think that's what it was. I think they were inspired by that to add curved walls in The Sims 4, curved walls rather, and it just ended up not really working very well because maybe they just don't have the competitive edge anymore. The live simulation gaming genre has needed a huge shift for a very long time, and now we're getting it. It seems like it's all going to be very positive. All these things that we never really thought about wanting in The Sims, but we've actually got in inZOI, like all of the different customization, the fact that you can actually upload a photo of a real object and they convert it into a 3D object that you can put in your game. I've been seeing videos of people like driving cars and there's so much detail, like it's not just driving, like there's so much more to it. Even though there are all these impressive features, I definitely think the most fundamental important thing is actually making the game feel fun. You can have like so many different tools in a game, but that doesn't necessarily make it fun in my personal opinion. There's actually got to be good gameplay there, so I'm hoping that inZOI continues to develop with good gameplay, but for now the amount of stuff that's there is amazing. What is there is amazing. A lot of things that are traditionally considered pack content in The Sims are already in inZOI in the game, and I think it's also, on that note, interesting that people are often referring to inZOI as a game rather than a base game, because we're so conditioned to say base game because of The Sims, but inZOI doesn't really look like a base game. It just looks like a game, which is really exciting. If you are bored of The Sims 4 and you would like to play another game, then make sure you check out Instant Gaming, because they sell pretty much every single game that you want for a huge discount, which is amazing. And by using the affiliate link in my description and comments, you are directly supporting this channel. In the meantime, you guys let me know what you genuinely think of inZOI and if you think it will compete with Project Renee. I'm personally skeptical, but I have a feeling that Project Renee is in trouble and they're probably having some emergency meetings as a result of it. Thank you very much for watching, guys. I will see you in the next one.